Hello, it's the last day of April here at Homegrown Veg in the United Kingdom, and it's official. We've had more frosty mornings in April this year than in any year in the last 60 years. No good for gardeners, and we've had very little rain. So it's dry and it's cold. Dry won't affect those tomatoes because I'll water those, I'll look after those. But I can't keep them warm. If it's frosty, it's frosty. But those are going to have to go out now. We've got some warm weather forecast. They're big enough now to be potted up and bagged up. And these tomatoes are going to be part of my Grow Vegetables in Buckets and Bags, which is best series. If you're not familiar with that, what I'm doing is I'm growing vegetables in small buckets and small bags, and at the end of the season we're going to try and determine if one's better than the other. So far we've got carrots growing in buckets and bags. We've got beetroot growing in buckets and bags. We've got potatoes growing in buckets and bags. We've got garlic growing in buckets and bags. And we've got shallots growing in buckets and bags. And when I move these tomatoes up later in this video, we're going to have tomatoes growing in buckets and bags. What we've got in this tray, we've got 12 tomato plants that I started from seed, and they're growing on in these yogurt pots. But we're going to move them up into those small 10-inch water buckets and those small bags. I've only got a dozen plants, but that's all the greenhouse will take. It's only an 8x6, and we grow 6 tomato plants down one side, 6 tomato plants down the other side, and a couple of cucumbers at the end. And that's it. The greenhouse is full. But it's actually full now as I speak. It's full of potatoes growing in bags and buckets, carrots growing in bags and buckets, potatoes grown in seaweed and leaves, potatoes grown in wood chip, potatoes grown in buckets of tea bags. The greenhouse is full, and I need to move those out to move these in. And that's something I'm going to be doing later today. But I'll show you these tomatoes being moved up into the buckets and bags shortly. Okay, so what we're growing? Well, as I've said, I've started these from seed, and I've picked out the ones I want to grow on, and I've got 2 of each. So I've got 2 Big Daddy, never grown those before, have you? I'm growing 2 Shirley. I'm growing 2 Cerise. I'm growing 2 Crimson Crush. I'm growing 2 Sun Gold. Never grown those before. They have a good reputation. And 2 more that I'm growing that I've never grown before. I'm growing 2 Heinz 1350. So one of each in a bucket and in a bag, and we'll grow them on, and we'll see what they deliver over a growing season. And I have a nifty way of recording that. I think I've covered that on a previous video, a cucumber counter video, but I'm going to use that same method to record the number of tomatoes that I actually get off each of these plants. Okay, let's take them outdoors and plant them up. This is ridiculous. I can't even get into my own greenhouse now, there's that much in here. The camera's poking its nose in through the door, but I'm outside. I just can't get in. I want these potatoes out, but I don't want to lose them. And there's still forecasts for frosts, and there's still snow on the tops of the Western Fells, which aren't too far away. So we're getting some cold nights and frosty mornings still. So the potatoes are going to get a little bit longer in this greenhouse. The tomatoes are down the middle of the greenhouse, standing on the path, and they need to be where the potatoes are now. But we'll give it a few more days, see what the weatherman's got to say. Then we'll move those potatoes out and we'll put the tomatoes in their final growing position. I'm going to do that on this video. Stick with it. At last, we can get back into the greenhouse. I've moved the potatoes out. I've got the tomatoes on the stations, and I've got the support strings in. There's other stuff in there that still needs to come out, but I'm not just ready for bringing it out yet. But hey, let's go indoors. Let's go into the greenhouse and have a closer look at some of this stuff while we're here, and then we'll call it a day. Let's start with something that isn't going so well. I've got a couple of cucumbers growing here. The one on the right is in a bag and looks reasonably healthy. The one on the left is in a bucket and doesn't look too good at all. In fact, I've got a reserve lined up indoors, and if that cucumber on the left doesn't pick up over the next few days, it's out. It's out and the reserve's in. So that's the cucumbers. Right, let's get a closer look at these carrots. These are the carrots grown in buckets and bags. I think there's a dozen in each. Yeah, I think those were pre-germinated seeds. I've got a dozen in each. These should be outdoors really. I don't want these in here. They need to go out at some stage. But it's just too cold at the moment. It's a nice sunny day today, as you can probably tell. But it's still cold at nights and it's still cold in the mornings. And I've got them this far, and really, I don't want to lose them. Now let me just pop you over to another bucket of carrots and a bag of carrots that aren't as far on. Let me show you these. So this bucket of carrots and bag of carrots look quite sparse. There are probably more carrots to germinate in these two, but these are definitely too fragile to be outdoors. They'll have to stay in here for another couple of weeks, I would think. Okay, where are we going next? I'll tell you where we'll go next. Let's do beetroot. Beetroot in buckets and bags. These are my beetroot. 7 in a bucket, 7 in a bag, and looking good. We're happy with those. They could do with being outdoors as well, but not just yet. Right, let me move you on to something I'm not quite as happy with. In fact, I'm disappointed with. These are some onions I've got going in buckets and bags, just 4 in each. The onion, the variety, is Walla Walla. These are onions I started from seed and they've never moved. They have never moved. They've been in these buckets and bags for well over a month and they've never moved. And all I can put that down to is a very cold April that we've had. Cold nights, frosty mornings. So Walla Walla is poor just at the moment. But we'll keep watering them. We'll see if they kick into life later on in the year and we'll grow them on. If they don't, they're out. We'll put something else in the buckets and bags. And last, we're going to have a look at some courgettes or zucchini. Take your pick, courgettes or zucchini. Let's move the camera, have a look at those, and these definitely need to be grown on outside. They'd never grow in here. They'll take the place over. They'll be like triffids. But again, we're waiting for the weather. Right, let me just adjust the camera. There they are, 2 courgettes. 1 in a bucket, 1 in a bag. Which is best? I don't know. Hopefully we'll find out later on in the year when I get these two outside and they start producing courgettes. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. We got off track a bit, didn't we? We started out with tomatoes and we've gone right around the houses, but hey, why not? Why not? Okay, stay safe, enjoy your gardening, look out for the updates. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.